think with these new works, Jayasri Burman seemed to be taking a new path. And I think the path is liberation from the narrative and more into abstraction. And I think ultimately, art, in my understanding, achieves its real autonomy only in abstraction. And I'm glad to see that now she is moving towards it, towards that autonomy in her own work.
Jayasri Burman can be considered as one of the younger additions to the 1970s generation of the Bengal modernists. First criteria of which is that she is an individualist. She is also addressing her native tradition, her context, both political as well as cultural. This particular exhibition is actually almost like a storytelling going through the entire journey of her developing as an artist till date. Starting from her student days early in Shantiniketan and going through her training in France, in Government Art College in Kolkata, and now as a practicing artist and working in Delhi, we can see this exhibition actually features all her experiences, her philosophies, her likings, her understandings regarding life, all in a go in this particular exhibition. In this particular show, as we can see that she has been trying something new, which what she used to be doing earlier. Like she has started working with objects like the cowrie shells, the shank, and these things she has been using to, kind of describe the feminine self that she has often done earlier through figures in her paintings. She is also moving towards a kind of abstraction. We can see here in this particular show that she is using objects like beads and cowries and buttons and kind of things, and shells also, which the mundane things of everyday life, which she is trying actually to convert to the unearthly, something that is more spiritual. That is something new that we see in this particular show. The figures, the forms that she is using, like her works, give us a more, kind of feminine kind of understanding regarding life. Her forms, though feminine, but they are very strong and powerful, all looking with full strength towards the viewer. And they are very lyrical somewhere, very poetic and musical as well. Very gorgeous and intricately worked with the use of, imposing colors, superimposing colors and all. Jayasri's works really are impressive, and it creates a kind of feel good in the person who watches it.
had the opportunity to write an essay in the catalogue for Jayasri Burman, and I'm very struck by I mean, there is this human being who is the artist, who is so receptive, and actually the pleasure that she has in nature and how she seeks to bring it onto her canvas or her paper is uniquely her own. We can look at the work and decode it somewhat. We can deconstruct it to read, say, the influence of Bengal folk, the folk arts of Jamini Roy, of Patachitra, of scroll painting, of Calcutta chromolithographs. These kinds of composite elements which she brings into the work but then makes it uniquely her own. And her subject is the female body as a divinity, as perhaps a virgin goddess, the body as receptive to nature but also generative of nature. And in a way, the work that we see allows for this sense of what in this particular show is, the germination of life. She's used the cowrie shell very effectively as a symbol of life, a symbol of female sexuality, a symbol of germination. And the combination between, say, the woman, the tree, what the sea throws up, like the cowrie shell, is also then placed within perspectives which move from earth to sky. The figures are so, she renders the figures with a certain kind of a monumentality, so that they occupy all the space. They don't give away very much because there's a certain passivity, or she wants to imbue them with a certain kind of beauty. But within that, there is a kind of a monumentality which is, she would suggest, is historic and is carried through the generations into female elemental energy.
With Jayasri, she is an artist who works painstakingly. Her whole method of working means that there are no shortcuts. People who know her, people who have seen her work will know that she spends hours painstakingly making these forms come to life. While her earlier works were also as important and as gorgeous, this present show is something that is quite spectacular and different. Her form has evolved, she herself has evolved in the way she thinks. And here she's talking about stars, she's talking about water, she's talking about the story of gods and goddesses. Of course, the Devi plays an important role in her work. Mythology is something that she has mastered. In the context of this particular show, what we see is also the detailing of it. We see installations that have never happened before, where she is using the kodi, which are these little shells we call kodi. Now, the kodi plays a very important role in the Bengali mythology and the mythical stories that she is now retelling, narrating in a sense. And what is amazing is that not only the paintings have these beautiful forms of shells and of course her usual dramatis personae play an important role, the fish, the elephant, the swans, all of that. But that apart, the texturing that comes to place, the lotuses, the little tiny shells are exquisitely placed to make this grand story, grand mythological story come alive. These are not just myths that she's talking about. These are myths that are now going to be forever associated with the work of Jayasri Burman.
as I stand in front of this beautiful exhibition, the poetic title, which is so symbolic or symptomatic of Jayasri herself, the whisper of water, the song of stars, I'm really taking a step back to actually reflect on the 27 years that I have been watching Jayasri paint, whether it is her colorful paintings or the sculptures that she makes. And today, I am really astounded by the materiality of her work. Till now, it has been Jayasri with her very, very finely painted, uh, almost dreamlike images that she does. But today, when I'm looking at the way she has used the materials, whether it is the sand from the river, the cowrie shells that she has picked up, the color palette, which I see has changed so much, and the abstraction in her work. Because for me, Jayasri symbolized the beauty of the female form, the beauty of the female form, which was taken to another level, sometimes mythical levels of half woman, half fish, and the beautiful Naikas, the beautiful graces, the beautiful goddesses that she painted. And here I see nature. I see a deep reflection of her interrogation with nature. One of the things which I find very compelling about Jayasri is her association with Prakriti, with nature. While she's absorbed in India's great myths and folklores, which you see a recurring leitmotif, which you see even in this exhibition. But what is interesting for me is as she uses the word sadhana for her own work, the sadhana or practice. It's interesting. It's actually bridging the gap between the East and the West, because in the West they call it iterations, and in the East we call it sadhana and abhyas. Because when she says she chants, it's in the repetition that in the Indic wisdom that you achieve a certain kind of excellence. I wanted to begin with these abstract works which talk of the materiality. And when I was talking to her and seeing the exhibition, which of course is revealing in many ways the growth of Jayasri herself, I see four very distinct themes for me emerging. One is the Samudra Manthan. Are the Pancha Tattvas. Three is the myths and the folk tales that she uses in her work. And fourth is the dreamlike uh, imagination. And finally, it's the new materiality, the kauri, which she has brought in her work. Of course, the presence of that was always there in the Lakshmis that she created, because kauri is one of the icons of Lakshmi. But here she's taken the many meanings or the dhwani of the kauri to another level.
Deeply moving exhibition of her paintings. It's powerful in the context of climate change, climate action. It's very hits you hard in the context of sustainability and the need to keep our oceans, our water, which are the basis of life and survival of human beings, absolutely clean and tidy. And her exhibitions have a very, very strong impact on the minds of people. very powerful use of figures, a very powerful use of flowers, a very powerful use of trees, and very bold strokes with very, very strong colors.